We made it through.
We're here.
Hi, everybody.
We've brought a friend with us this evening, other than Selah. But Selah wants first. Dibs, come on. Selah knows it's her turn to say hello. She gets a treat every time we come on. Welcome, everybody. Our comment system isn't working quite right, so we're not able to post your comments tonight. Sorry about that. We'll work on that for next time. It's been 3 months since we've been on air, and but here we are, live on a Friday night.
We did it. It's so good to be here, too. Feels good to be back in the saddle.
I'm Cal Clark, if you don't know us.
And I'm Ida Blevins. Nice to see you all.
And we have David Wittnebert with us. And David is going to be the featured artist. We're going to just have a conversation with David. He's a guy that I met. When was that, David? Maybe less than a year ago. But
it was last October at the Johnny and Friends Refresher Conference.
Yeah. So we met, and this is going to be a great show. Who's here, Ida? Who's watching?
We have Kathy and Rob, Tom, Kristen. We've got a house full of people here already.
Great, and you may be watching the recording of this. We're glad to have you here. Feel free. People always say to me, when I watch the recording, I feel silly typing a comment.
Oh, please don't.
But go ahead and type a comment. We'll see your comment later.
We enjoy the comments, and they mean a lot to us, so thanks.
And
also, they could post. May I interrupt you for just a second? I'm sorry.
Sure. Come on.
If they're unable to post a comment, they're free to ask me a question to the Christian Asperger, Autism, and Brain Disorder group on my Facebook page.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's so that's a little bit of what we wanted to get to. David is married, and David in particular, but both of them together have an organization, and it's on YouTube. There are some YouTube videos that you can find. If you look up David, let me just go back to that first slide. Wittnebert is the last name, not Wittenberg or Witten. It's
Wittnebert.
Whitney. Oh, there you do long E. I said it wrong, didn't I?
Wittnebert.
Wittnebert. And so I just want to get the spelling right, so when people go to search,
right,
you can find it. But I found you very easily. I just did a Google search. I found you on Facebook right away. Mm-hmm. And I had to look a little bit because my spell checker changed the name, your last name.
That's weird.
But anyway, you guys run this organization, which is called Christian Asperger Autism and Brain Disorder Group. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, first of all, it's an internet fellowship for people on the Christian autism spectrum. Back in the early 2000s, and let me see. I've tried to find a Christian group for autism people on the spectrum. At that time, there was no searches, nothing that could be found on such a group.
Yeah. So as far as you knew, you were starting the first group. That maybe there were.
I could have. I don't know.
Yeah. And so, have you found any other groups since then? Are there other groups forming?
I have. There's a couple you can find on Facebook.
Yeah, so that's good. That's a good sign, isn't it? We're not competing. We're looking. But so the group really is people on the autism spectrum. Is that right? And people with brain disorders. And you guys it's a Christian group.
Yes.
Cool. So, what led you to start that? Like, why did you start that?
Well, first of all, I struggled in school, in public school. I was placed in a school for the mixture of kids from deaf to people on the autism spectrum and to basically very bad and out of control kids. It was just like it was like a state hospital type of school.
And you were in that school.
Yes.
Man.
There were some people that meant well, and there were some that didn't mean well as far as teachers and staff. Some of these kids, their parents couldn't even handle. They were sent to group homes, and it seemed like when I went on the bus, it seemed like it was like almost like a jail for them. And for example, I had a good friend by the name of Robert, and he was a good friend of mine, and he had parents that were so strict. It's just like he was struggling with depression problems, and the some of the therapists were constantly on his back. The sad thing is, one day on Christmas, before he was going to go to the group home, he wound up taking his father's gun and killing himself, which really gave me some change. And because I always thought in my mind I wanted to create some organization to help people like that.
How old was he, David?
16.
16. And how long were you in that school?
Let me see. I was sent there in 87, and I graduated in 93.
Wow.
So that's a pretty heavy. You've been through some heavy stuff in your life.
Yes, I have.
That's one of them. I was going to mention to you that my best friend, who was also my cousin, was killed in a car accident when I was 18, and that had pretty drastic impact on my life. I think my outlook on life. What came about for me? I went to church at the time, and I went to my church leaders and I said, "Wow, like he died. He was 18 years old. What does life mean? Like if it can just go away, what's the purpose of life, and why would God let somebody die like that?" And of course, those are really hard questions. I never felt like I had got a really good answer as a kid, but that really impacted me. Is that kind of, I don't, maybe the word haunting isn't the right word, but did you have that, or did that impression of him killing himself have weight on your shoulders? Did you?
It brought me tears, and it sometimes still does.
Yeah.
I just, and then I heard on the news similar group homes like that are that cruel to people on the autism. They don't have the love and compassion like Jesus did for them, and that's a main reason I feel they're this way. Instead, I feel they suffer abuse without Jesus's love. It's just sad. You still see it on the news and stuff like that, and it's for real.
And
I was lucky.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you were going to say I was lucky.
I was lucky my parents didn't place me in a group home. I wasn't raised Christian. My mom's parents were raised Catholic. She went to a Catholic school, and she didn't get along with her folks the greatest. So I don't know what exactly happened, but that's part of my childhood. I understood my grandfather, and my mom didn't seem to understand him, and sometimes not me.
Okay, so when you were a kid, you were raised in. Did you go to Catholic church as a kid?
No, I was not raised Catholic. They ditched religion just about completely. They believed in the Beatles' philosophy of religion. No hell, no heaven.
Yeah, from the Imagine song.
Yeah, my father was big into the Beatles, and he was an autograph collector, and he's done a lot of autograph shows, and that was one of the good points in my life. I got to meet a couple of celebrities.
Really? What celebrities are some of your favorite to drop names about?
Well, I've met most of the original cast of Star Trek except for Leonard Nimoy. I met the creator of Gene Roddenberry. I do have pictures on my Facebook of them.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, so your dad is an autograph expert, right?
Yes.
And actually verifies autographs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, he was a longtime treasurer of the Universal Autograph Collectors Club. I mean, he always tried to bring on. That's the one thing I admired about him. He always brought honesty, integrity to the business, because there's so many people that fraudulently sell signatures and try to sell fraud autographs.
Right. I'm into the Pittsburgh Steelers, and so we have some Steeler things that are signed by Pittsburgh Steelers, and I bought a football once that after I got it, I realized they weren't real signatures. Somebody had just put the signatures on there. Yeah, it wasn't the best. It wasn't exciting. So you didn't go to church at all as a kid?
No.
And did you know anything? Growing up, did you know anything about religion, or was your parents religion?
I first heard about Jesus and Christianity when my parents took me for speech therapy. That was Frank and Kathy Esposito helped introduce that, but the way I was raised, they said it's like a naive religion. It'll make you naive, not emotionally strong or something like that. They tried to raise me emotionally strong. And unfortunately, that was one of their mistakes. I understand their point of view. They said, well, it takes away civil rights. It takes away people that are homosexuals. I feel for them, but they're like living in a lie. I mean, they just don't understand. It's like I understand both sides of the coin.
I'm impressed with your parents, partly because I'm impressed with you. I think there is a certain way about you and nature to you that I know your parents had to have been. I guess one of the things that we've learned is that parents that have low expectations have kids that also have low expectations. And one thing I think your parents, it seems to me, instilled in you, or at least maybe it was the opposite. Maybe they didn't instill it and you just reacted to it. But you are a strong-willed doer. Like you are what's the word for it? Just, what we used to talk about pit bulls, that like when a pit bull grabs a hold of you, they don't ever let go. I feel like you're that sort of person, David, that you are a really strong-willed individual.
Well, sometimes I don't feel that way. There's times I have a nervous breakdown. I admit it. Sometimes it's like I'm half and half.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's the other thing I like about you is you're a realist. You never let it be too positive about you. You're always willing to say, well, I'm not all that.
And isn't that all of us? I mean, we all have a couple sides of our coin. Sometimes we all have that nervous breakdown. So yeah, I think it's good to say that we all share that in common.
Yeah, but I want to move through your story a little bit. So you never went to church, and so like, what were your goals in life? What did you want from life? If you weren't a Christian, if you weren't interested, where were you trying to get?
Well, I was trying to land a successful career. Because of my autism, I wasn't able to.
That was a hard task.
With my
And
disorder, I just had a hard time functioning in a lot of jobs. I had a hard time dealing with stress. I had a
yeah, so
hard time finding dates because of my disability.
yeah, now there's a topic that not enough people talk about. There are a lot of people with disabilities who need more information about dating, about finding other people. It's almost like when you have a disability, people don't want to talk to you about it because they're afraid that it's not the right thing for you, or maybe they want, or maybe some people are vulnerable and they're trying to protect them. But would you mind talking about that a little bit? Dating. So what's your story with dating? How did you? You're married now, so let's start
Right.
back. Let's start back way before that. How did that all start?
Well, first of all, my my saddest part was I didn't hardly have any much support as for friends in high school. I never went to my high school prom. I never dated when I was a teen. I did date a girl with similar disabilities. She let me for other she she broke up with me. I tried other courtships with women, they wouldn't even give me a chance. So I tried a Russian mail order bride service.
Really? And so tell me about that. How did that go?
That well, I thought everything was going well. Well, I went to Russia to meet her. I was in Russia for a month, and so she wound up ditching me, and then I was looking at suicide, and I applied for a job at a greenhouse company, and I met Ollie Patterson, who became one of my best friends. He witnessed to me many times, and then he invited me to church many times. So I decided to do him a favor and go to Calvary Chapel of Orlando, which was my first church. I was planning on going as soon as I was done. The plan was I was going to give him 2 weeks notice, and then I was going to go to Mexico to go on a pleasure trip and kill myself there. That
Oh,
was
David.
my plan.
Wow.
I felt I had
Wow.
no hope.
That
And
is a low point. Wow. Goodness. Yeah, but
and
I
then when
understand it.
and
I'm
then
sorry, go
and
ahead.
then and then when I first heard, I was very disinterested in the worship music. I was very disinterested. I didn't even want to read the Bible. That Pastor Gib Allen, when I first met him, he looked so boring. But when he taught the Word of God, all the scriptures pointed out what I was planning. And then I left. I said I canceled my plans to figure out how the heck did he know everything I was plotting. I told no one.
So you felt like the sermons were being directed at you?
Yes,
Isn't that interesting? And it really wasn't your cup of tea so much, but yet the message came through. I mean, to me, that seems like a miracle. That seems like God really talking to you through a pastor, through a church service. Where'd you say you met Ollie Patterson? That he was inviting you to
it was
church?
at a greenhouse job. He was a supervisor of mine, and we're still close friends. I've known him for say met him in 1999, so I've known him for let's see, 23 years.
That's a long time to maintain a friendship. That's wonderful.
See now, but now I understand why you're so avid with your faith. The one of the things that one of the quotes that have seen you post, I want to just pop it up
Yeah.
here if I can, is this one. Never worry about who will be offended if you speak the truth. Worry about who will be misled, deceived, and destroyed if you don't.
I go by those words, yes.
Yeah, and so I've noticed that you live by those words, and your story makes that, makes it clear why. You were really at a, God met you at a very, very low point. And some of that had to do with dating. In a way, David, that breaks my heart for people. I know so many individuals with disability that are single. And it makes me wonder if they're if they're planning something, if they're behind the scenes thinking so negatively, did anyone know that you were planning to end your life?
Not until I gave my testimony. I didn't tell anyone. I mean, not my folks, nobody,
Yeah.
until
And yet,
this happened. Later, I shared my testimony. Obviously,
yeah.
it took maybe about a year or two or something like that.
Yeah, it's not something you just lead with. It's that's a low point, but it really does make. I mean, we need to be praying, and we need to be realizing there are people around us who could be feeling that level of hurt as well. I mean,
Right.
there might be somebody watching us right now, right? That's feeling that way. And I just want to say, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm hoping on future missions that led me to finding Margaret on the group I created will help others find others. That's what I'm hoping to.
Yeah, so that makes sense. But I love that I love that you feel strongly and that you speak the truth, and that it would be easy to not say I was at that low point. Like you could tell your story and say I was just at a really low point. I went to Russia. I went all the way to Russia, and a person dropped me, and you still feel badly about that, right? I mean, you can still feel that hurt.
Yeah.
And so you could just leave it there, but to show how to speak frankly about how low you've gone, I think maybe that helps other people realize they're not alone. And so that's what I wanted to say is, if you're watching this and you're feeling that way, you're not alone. There are people who have felt that way and who do feel that way. And at least here's one guy, David, that found some answers. And so you found answers in church.
Yeah. But I didn't find. Well, after I got saved, I didn't find Margaret and got saved in 2000 of March, and I didn't get introduced to Margaret until 2005. So I didn't go on any courtships until 2005. I was part of a singles group around that time, but I could not get even a courtship started. I met a couple of friends, but I had a hard time really struggling with my singleness.
Yeah. So it was in the singles group that you met Margaret, or how did that? So let's wrap that story up. How did that end up?
Well, I'll tell how I formed it. Since I was having a hard time with courtships, and I struggle with emotional pain. It just hurted seeing people having other people, and it just was hard emotionally for me. It seemed like everybody had somebody and I didn't. So around 2002, I went on a Spain message trip. But it's just like a lot. They meant well, my brothers and sisters in Christ. They were trying to get me to enjoy my singleness, and I just wasn't able to because I struggle with sexual addiction. It just was hard.
And yeah, so yeah, it is. When it's such
It's like
such a big
bombarded
desire.
on you.
I'm sorry, say that again.
It's like, but it's all bombarded on us. That's a sad part about our culture.
Yeah, you hear about it and you see about it. It's in movies, it's in commercials. Is that what you mean?
I know. It's like you can't get away from it.
Yeah. But it's also something, God created relationships, and it is something good. The Bible of course says that you don't need to be married. That Paul seems to say that if you can go without being married, that's a
Right.
good thing. But certainly in the very beginning, God saw that Adam was alone, and he made a helper. He made somebody to be with him. And so relationships are important to people, and that key relationship is so significant, having that one person.
Well, anyway,
Yeah, please.
anyway, when I went on the Spain mission trip, I had a hard time following other people's routines and all that, and so it made me. I felt that a Christian group with people with autism. I did a search, and I was hoping of maybe hopefully there'd be some Bible study groups, but there was none. So Ollie suggested I join the secular group called the Asperger Dugout, and then I was in fellowship with this group, and then a big answer came. At Calvary Chapel, Fort Lauderdale, some staff came to visit our church and wanted to start some classes in Orlando, biblical counseling, and I said it gave me more interest. And and then I went into training on that, and then I learned to do audio tape scriptures from Pastor Chuck Smith of Calvary Chapel, and then I started working on sermons related to autism. Back then, there was no YouTube, there was just Yahoo groups, there was no Facebook, all that. So I posted a sermon on ASB. Some people were offended, some weren't. And then I felt to create, since there were no groups out there, it was first called the Christian Asperger Autism Group. It was created, and some members of the Asperger Dugout joined.
And that's cool. So, and where did you meet, or how did you meet?
Okay. Around 2004, I stayed to singles group, but around 2004, they changed. It was decided to change the night, and a night I couldn't be there because I worked evenings on my other job. It was very discouraged. I thought that was it. I thought I lost hope of finding somebody. And around 2005, I was corresponding with Margaret. She was in a relationship with another guy, and I said, "The shame she's engaged to another guy. We have so much in common." Are you trying to slap me in the face? God, that's the attitude I had.
Yeah, there's the woman I want, but she's occupied. Wow.
And then it was, and I discussed with Orlando on opening an autism group. They suggested I connect with Doug Teal, who has a son with autism, who was starting a closer church. It's to my area. But the problem is most of the people were married, and it was hard going to that church. And with prices of gas going up, it was hard for me to attend Orlando very much. So a good friend of mine, Mark Bloom, I've known him for years, and he died of leukemia, and he wanted to find somebody, and then he died, and I said, is that going to be me, God, struggling? So I just couldn't take the torment of seeing so many married people, so I stopped going to church for a month, and then Margaret told me she broke up with this guy and found just some things about him, and she was available.
Oh,
so
wow.
we started
Divine
courtship.
intervention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I pictured
then-
you going to her and saying, you got to get rid of that guy.
I didn't tell her that. She didn't know I was going through this at the time.
Huh. So there's another sort of miracle, a miraculous. It could have gone differently.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you a praying person? Did you pray during that time, or?
Yeah, I did, and then I visited her in person in the Pittsburgh. I mean, I visited her in 2006 in spring, and then she visited me in Florida in July.
Oh, so she's not from Florida.
No.
Okay. So I wondered how you live in West Virginia now. I wondered how you got up north. And
Okay, well, anyway, I proposed to her on Friday after Thanksgiving. She came Thanksgiving up to Florida, and we got engaged, and then we got married in West Virginia on August 5th, 2007. It'll be 15 years married when August
Now they
5th
put up
hits.
your wedding photo. It's a beautiful wedding photo.
so there's your wedding photo.
Yeah, it is. I'm clean shaven. I have more hair.
There you go.
Oh, wow. 15 years has it been?
Yeah, well, we lived in Florida for a few years, and then there was this economic crisis, and then I lived in a condo where it was just very hard. My parents helped pay for half of that condo, but I had a hard time holding on to it because association dues were going up, and there was
Yeah.
cutbacks on my job, and then I had no choice but to move up north. I had it rented for a while, then I lost it to foreclosure eventually down the line.
David, one of our viewers, Kristen, put up a question about resources for caregivers. And I don't know that David, you're an expert on that, but if you're a Christian caretaker of a younger child on the spectrum, do you know any groups or resources for the caregivers? I would mention a couple. David, if you have any, you can go after me. But Johnny and Friends is one of the best ones that I know of.
I would say Johnny and Friends.
And what I would encourage parents to do is go to one of the camps during the summer.
Yeah.
They seem expensive, but Johnny and Friends will help you with finding the financing to go to that camp. But that what that does is that connects you with some other parents, and there's nothing like parent groups, co-parent groups. Also, I do think there are some churches that do have programs. It's one of the things Johnny and Friends also pushes, where there's some respite and that sort of thing. So that would be my answer to Christian's question. If you're a Christian caretaker of a younger child on the spectrum, where can you get resources? There might be online resources too. I'd need to think about, but that's what I would say off the top of my head. The other thing is you could contact Uniquely the Same, and we would be glad to help you find specific things that you're looking for. So, so Kristen, if you're looking for that for yourself, or you know somebody that's looking for that, have them call us and have that conversation. We'll work on it with you. How about, did your parents have anything, David, that you know of? How did they find the resources?
Well, some resources were good, some were bad.
So you aren't a fan of everything they did.
No, I'm not. They didn't, I mean, nobody could do everything right. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I'm sure they did the best they can, but there are some. You did have some
They
bad
just didn't,
experiences.
they didn't know what the behind the scenes was going at, and if they had a camera on me, then I felt maybe they would be more understanding on what I went through.
Yeah, I appreciate your talking about it, because I think it helps people say, "Wow, could that be going on in my life?"
I agree. I think a lot of times people bottle up those kind of negative emotions, and there's no place for them to go. So fortunately, you found a place to vent those emotions and to basically to heal through your relationship with God. So anyway, I'm very happy that you're willing to share your story, David. Thank you for that.
Part of your story, David, if I understand it, I want to ask you it in form of a statement. I think that you would say that there were no answers apart from Christianity. That Jesus and
Margaret?
the church. Oh, Margaret's home.
I think she saw Margaret.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Even if we just say hello.
Yeah, it would be nice to
Yeah,
say hi.
yeah, I think she's home.
So,
Great.
David,
No.
would you say that Christianity was really the only the only solution that was going to work for you? I mean, no, you tried a lot of things.
Right. Yes, I did. I felt it was a big solution for me.
Yeah, that's I mean, it really is an answer. Jesus doesn't just save you in the sense of you have eternal life, but he saves you from the day-to-day struggles. Not miraculous, not like they all go away, but he gives you meaning and a way of looking at life that can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So we're with David Wittnebert, if you're just tuning in, and he is our guest tonight, talking about his group that he started that's been running for years, Christian Asperger, Autism, and Brain Disorder Group. And he talked a little bit about his relationships and his faith. I would encourage you, David, as much as you can on the internet, to talk about relationships. That you and Margaret getting on and just talking about your own life and even your marriage things, not personal things, but it's
Right.
another area where just people don't talk enough, and they're so curious. I meet so many young people on the spectrum, and they're just curious about what it's like to date and how you do find success. And I think you could imagine what you would have liked to have seen or learned. And you can't, everyone, it doesn't work out for everyone.
Right.
But I think your story shows that if you just keep going and keep moving forward, and the Lord blesses you, that you do find the solutions.
Yes,
if you have any
has.
questions for David, please feel free to pop them in.
For some reason, Kristen's question came through, and I was able to post it.
None of the other ones
None of
did.
the other ones are coming up. So Kristen's got the magic touch tonight. But if you type your questions in, I'd be happy to relay them on to David.
So David, I've heard you preach. You like to get on, and are you doing that still? Are you doing sermons from time to time?
Yes, whenever I find time, it's. I don't do it very much on a regular basis. It's time with work, family. But I try. But I try. I'm hoping
Yeah, it takes
God
a lot.
will open the door to
T-
help me do that.
takes a lot of hours to put a sermon together, doesn't it?
Right.
Um, okay, so you met the Star Trek people. I'm trying to think
Mm-hmm.
who else. Are there? Are there? Is it? Are there like movie folks that you met when you were young?
Yes, I have met Guilford Gofford. You know, he passed away.
Just recently, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
That's
He did a show in a town where I used to live.
and so you'd get to go to those shows or maybe get a little backside access for
Yeah,
autograph sake or whatever.
I used to, but nowadays my father's retired and it's just too expensive anymore.
Yeah. Do you do autographs yourselves? Do you try to collect autographs?
I have in the past, but I don't do it hardly at all because things are high now. And
So you work hard. What do you do? What do you do for pleasure? What's fun for you?
well, I spend time with my son, play video games with him. I take him places.
So I forgot all about your son till just now. How old is your son?
He's 9 years old.
Wow.
He's home right now, watching me right now.
That's such a cute age. They're really.
Yeah,
I think they're smarter these days at age 9 than they were when I was age 9. It's just impressive to see what how they learn and how they pick things up so quickly. And you can really start to feel their heart. You know, the kindness that goes
right.
through from their hearts. Yeah.
What a kid needs is a dad that's there. So it sounds like that's what you're trying to do. What does your
Yeah.
son like to do? What do you like to do with him?
Well, he likes to play at the playground. I've already told you, he likes to play video games. I take him to. We have a lot of nice parks around where in West Virginia. You know that it's known for its nature and all that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Uh, so I just want to mention that Rob popped up in answer to Kristen's question too, which was more Johnny and Friends, saying that there's a round table for parents um, coming up that Johnny and Friends has. So they are trying to provide those resources. So
And it's available online. So thanks, Rob.
well, David, I really want to thank you for taking the time tonight to be with us. Hang
Pleasure.
with us. Hang with us. Don't leave. This is the special part of the program. We've already seen David's saying of the week,
Yeah.
right? He got to put one in. So Ida has one. So I'm going to switch over to Ida's saying of the week. But David, don't go away. We'll come back to you here in just a
Wait
second.
a minute. My son wants to say hello. Come on,
Oh, great.
John.
Hi, John.
Hey, let's hear you say hello.
Hello.
Hi, John. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
We're
you.
pleased to have you on the live stream with us. We're on both Facebook and YouTube right now, so you're about to be famous. Maybe.
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
John, we're glad to see you. So we're gonna do Ida's saying of the week. Move over to Ida. Let me get the her slide brought up. Here you go, Ida.
Okay. I usually try to do a saying of the week that has something to do with a special event that's going on. And today is Earth Day. So I thought, oh, I'll find an Earth Day quote. But you know what? I didn't find an this one struck me, so it called to me. So this is what we have. It's kind of a long one. You are someone's favorite person. The way you laugh, your kind heart, your sense of humor, the way you make problems melt away with a loving hug or a shoulder to cry on. You are important to more people than you even know. And it's tough to remember that sometimes, but it's true. You are loved. You are needed. You are appreciated for simply being you. So that's from Topher Kirby. So I just love that quote.
That's cool, Ida. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's go into the joke of the week. As some of you know, or maybe some of you don't know, we are in the process at Uniquely the Same of starting a coffee roasting business, and we're planning to employ individuals affected by disability in a coffee roasting business. And one of the fathers that's teaching us how to do this is a Christian guy over in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. His name is Rich Pavlik. So Rich is our jokester today. All right. And Rich knows, of course, that we're into coffee. So he sent us a coffee joke. Here's his joke. In the Bible, how does Moses make his coffee?
How does Moses make his coffee?
He brews it. He brews it.
I get it. Hebrews. Thanks, Rich. We're sorry we did that to you. But it's a good one.
Rich has a coffee company by the name of Blind Bean Coffee.
Blind Bean Roasters.
And Blind Bean Roasters. And that's his logo there behind him. And you can go on to the internet and look up Blind Bean Roasters and order your coffee. He doesn't just, it's not like the Walmart coffee or your grocery store coffee. He makes high-end coffee, fresh high-end coffee. And Rich is blind, so that's why it's called Blind Bean Coffee. So he's helping us learn how to roast. So I'm sure if you're a fan of Uniquely the Same, you're going to hear more about coffee roasting in the future. It's our goal to employ a bunch of people doing coffee roasting.
I'm excited.
So that should be a fun path. But thanks, Rich, for the joke of the day. What do you think, David? Are our jokes a little bad?
I've heard far worse or so. Far worse.
That was pretty good.
See, I'm going to take that as a compliment. He said, "I've heard far worse."
What do you think, John?
My son thought it was a good joke, he said.
Yeah, you can tell your friends, John. He brews it. I have a feeling that we're going to have like a whole bunch of coffee jokes for a while.
Find them. And if you have some jokes, send them our way.
So we usually take a little bit of time to do shout outs. If you know anybody you want to give a shout out to, if anybody's having a birthday or an anniversary, anybody in your world that has a recent birthday, David?
Well, my mother-in-law just had a birthday April 1st, Ann Funkhauser, so belated happy birthday.
Happy birthday to her. What do you got, Ida?
Well, on the 24th, yesterday was Laura Wilder's birthday. On the 23rd.
Laura Wilder, she's a viewer. Yep.
On the 23rd, Andy Casile.
Andy Casile.
On the 24th, my best friend in grade school, Deb Knott Berry. On the 24th, also Tom Booth.
Tom, was Tom here tonight?
Tom was here tonight.
Yeah.
On the 27th, Susan Ehlers. And on the 28th, Alicia Riggs.
So let's go back. So Tom is when?
24th.
The 24th, and this is the 22nd. All right, Tom, we're going to be watching out for you in a couple of days. Happy birthday to you all.
This week it's coming up is Administrative Professionals Week. So some people call that Secretary's Week, but now that's offensive. So it's Administrative Professionals Week. That's coming up. So if you need to buy a gift for your administrative professional,
this is your reminder.
This is your reminder. That's right.
Don't let the week happen without you knowing it. Rob is coming down to my church to give a presentation to talk about Johnny and Friends. Johnny and Friends, we're broadcasting from Pittsburgh, but Johnny and Friends Ohio runs 2 camps during the summer, and they are looking for volunteers. They could use some volunteers. You can go to the Johnny and Friends site to see the dates. I don't have the dates in mind, but one's early summer, one's late summer. One's like the end of July.
Rob's online, so maybe he'll pop him up.
So we could use some extra hands. So come and do that. So David, one last thing that I wanted to ask you is I think you use as your theme verse 2 Peter 3:18. Grow in the grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. To him be the glory both now and forever. Do you have anything to say about that verse? Why is that verse there? And
Well, I've always used that verse saying, I wish I had your mind, Jesus. I'm glad I don't have your power because I couldn't do. Because, I just would like to have your mind. I can't ask for your power.
yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, so it really does come down to that's what life is about, right? Conforming our minds, trying to make our mind more and more, and
Right.
seeking what His mind is like. Great. Well, we're going to make that the closing statement.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, it went by so fast.
Which means it's time for us to close up. David, we appreciate you coming to be with us tonight.
Bye-bye. Well, thank you so
Bye,
much
Dad.
for
We'll take a
having
rain
me.
check from.
Next time we want to see Margaret too.
Yes.
Well, I hope to bring her on the show. We'll range a time, see what we could do.
Maybe next time. Maybe next time.
That sounds
That
good.
would be
That sounds
great.
good.
Thank
But we
you.
did get you on, John, so we're glad about that.
That's right.
So we're not sure when we're going to be back next. It could be next week. It could be later. But we are working on some stuff. So we're even though we haven't done the show for 3 months, we are coming back, and we will be doing some stuff. We got some special stuff. Like this is the kind of stuff we want to do more and more. People asked for this kind of meeting, and so that's why we said we wanted to get David on here as one of the first ones. So come and continue to join. Watch out for us. We'll be back around again, and we'll have more show. But until we meet again, we just want you to know that I am uniquely the same. You are uniquely the same. Together, we could change the world. We'll see you next time.
Bye now.